Will Ragatz with Vikings on SI. I'm in Minneapolis, but the Vikings are in London, where they just beat the New York Jets 23-17 to move to 5-0 on the season for the first time since 2016. This was an interesting game, I think I would say. The Vikings, as they've done just about every week this season, got off to a great start and looked like they were going to be headed for a blowout. They were up 17-0. Late in the second quarter when C.J. Ham scored a touchdown. Andrew Van Ginkel had a pick six early on against Aaron Rodgers, his second pick six of the season, just the fifth pick six Rodgers has ever thrown in his lengthy NFL career. And, the Vikings were rolling. It was defensive dominance. Cam Bynum also had a pick against Rodgers in the first half. The Vikings forced a turnover on downs against the Jets. And the offense was doing some things as well. They were able to move the ball down and get that touchdown via Ham. Aaron Jones was doing some things. Justin Jefferson was doing some things. But then it got ugly for the Vikings offense. And the timing coincided with a couple things. Sam Darnold took a shot to the ribs, had to come out of the game. Nick Mullins came in for one play and completed a pass to Aaron Jones. Darnold was able to come back in, but he did not look like the version of himself that we've seen over the last four games throughout this one. It was easily his worst game of the season. He was 14 of 31, 179 yards, no touchdown passes for the first time all year, one interception, and just really struggled to execute and to connect downfield. The Vikings stayed aggressive throughout this game. Darnold wasn't dinking and dunking. He was throwing the ball down the field, but the connections just weren't quite there. And the other thing was Aaron Jones, who I mentioned, he left this game in the second quarter with a right hip injury that the Vikings are hoping is a short-term thing, but he wasn't able to return. And without him, the run game just was pretty non-existent with Ty Chandler and Myles Gaskin and even Ham in there a little bit as well. So the Vikings got pretty one-dimensional, and then the Jets' pass rush was getting home. The Jets have a good defense. Their corners, when they weren't getting flagged against Justin Jefferson, who had 6 catches for 92 yards on 14 targets, also drew at least 3 or 4 penalties on the Jets. When they weren't holding Jefferson, they were playing pretty well, and they had the interception against Darnold. They got home for a few sacks. They were playing well, but it was a combination of that and the Vikings offense just looking totally out of rhythm, unlike anything we've seen from them this season. Even last week against the Packers when they almost blew a big lead, the offense didn't quite look this bad. So they've got a lot to figure out offensively as they head into their bye week ahead of the Week 7 game against the Lions. But the good news is defensively, Brian Flores' unit just continues to be unbelievably impressive. I mean, 3 interceptions against Aaron Rodgers. The last one was a game winner by Stephon Gilmore with the Vikings up 6 and the Packers on the brink of getting into the red zone in the final minute. It's just really impressive. Rodgers is not a guy who turns the ball over very much at all throughout his career. He didn't have a single turnover-worthy play coming into this game, according to PFF. But Van Ginkel gets him with the pick 6 when he came up to the line of scrimmage and then dropped back into coverage. And Bynum got one on an overthrow. Gilmore made a great play at the end to get one. The Vikings also had 3 sacks. Harrison Smith and Ivan Pace Jr., who was back from injury, were among the guys who were able to get to Rodgers. And then they held the Jets like the Vikings defense has done all year. Jets were 5 of 17 on third down. And this Vikings defense has just made plays all season. It's sacks and it's interceptions, and it's coming up with big plays on third and fourth down to get off the field. They were the side of the ball that led to this Vikings victory. They deserve all the credit. Just really an unbelievable 5-week start for Brian Flores and his group. Special teams was a mess as well in this one for the Vikings. A lot of mistakes in that phase, but the good news in that phase is that Will Reichard, their rookie kicker, continues to be kind of a machine. He hasn't missed a kick all year. He hit 3 in this game, 2 from 50+, another one from, I think, 41 to extend the Vikings lead to 23-17 in the fourth quarter and make it so that the Jets had to drive down against Flores' defense and get a touchdown to try to win the game, which they weren't able to do thanks to Gilmore and some pressure on Rodgers. So ultimately, I mean, a weird game. I think kind of a nerve-wracking experience and a frustrating experience probably for the Vikings and for Vikings fans, especially in the second half. Second straight week where they get an early lead, a big lead in the first half, and then it turns into a nail-biter at the end. And this one went from 17-0 to 2017 and ultimately one final drive. But the Vikings will take it. They're 5-0 heading into the bye. It's not always going to be pretty. It's not always going to be easy. It's tough to win in the NFL, but the fact that they're 5-0, pending the Chiefs playing on Monday night, they have the best record in the league right now. One of only 2 undefeated teams. So it's been really impressive. I don't think Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores and the Vikings can ask for much more than what they've gotten in this start, but they'll hope to get Aaron Jones back. They'll hope to get TJ Hawkinson back as soon as Week 7 against the Lions. And they'll try to clean some things up on offense and on special teams and just keep rolling on defense to keep this thing going ahead of a really big NFC North showdown at US Bank Stadium against the Lions on October 20th. So that's the game recap from me. Lots more to come, lots to discuss from this one in London. Go check that out, Vikings on SI. But yeah, we'll be back on the channel to talk more about it on Monday.